Hi, welcome to the channel. A year ago I did a video comparing one-page rules to 40k, and I'd also been playing it in the lead up to that video. Well, now 10th edition has arrived. Is that the end of one-page rules? Let's have a look. Starting off with what one-page rules is, it's actually a set of games all with the same ethos, and that is a simple rule set made available for free and taking up no more space than one page. The 40k version of the game is GRIMDARK Future, and the free PDF of the rules is indeed one page. While the core rules are one page, the basic rulebook is longer and more detailed at 12 pages, but it doesn't take long to skim through. For people experienced playing tabletop war games, the core rules are probably enough. The primary ethos of the game system is to be model agnostic. Use whatever models you want from wherever. 3D printing isn't a concern. Profit isn't a driver. Everything is free, but you can support through Patreon donations, which comes with some STLs for printing cool minis to play with. And to be digital. Everything is downloadable and maintained, and there is an online army builder which is quite nice. You can't avoid the comparison with Games Workshop games, as they quite deliberately created their own version of sci-fi and fantasy games. And the one I'm particularly talking about is GRIMDARK Future, the 40k version. Let's look at what GRIMDARK Future was trying to solve or make better than 40k pre-10th edition. 40k is expensive with codex and model purchases specifically. It is considered to be less balanced and not digital. 40k is a more complex rule set and certainly more complex faction rules. You're supposed to only use models purchased from Games Workshop. There are lengthy games, playing 40k needs many hours, even tournaments give 3 hours per game. Interactivity. 40k being turn-based, you go, I go, means there are long periods players aren't doing much. And to some extent, having a system not run by a large corporate entity. Now the things that GRIMDARK Future couldn't solve or do better. 40k is a massive, deep and fantastic lore. Technically there's nothing stopping you playing one-page rules in a 40k universe. Availability of people to play. Asking my local games communities, there weren't many people that played. Events and tournaments exist but not as frequent or well attended. So you're unlikely to get as many varied games in against other players. Obviously, if you're lucky enough to get a group of friends into it, then that works well, but not everyone has that. And community size. 40k is the bigger community and people collaborate through many mediums, including, of course, YouTube. Even with all the ways one-page rules have tried to improve things, it's not been able to knock 40k off the top spot. So how has and will 10th edition change things? All the rules are free and downloadable. The 40k balance activity was very active and successful through 9th. We had a weekend with 12 tournaments and 12 different faction winners. 10th has reset that though and imbalance has returned. But GW have already shown their intentions by actively making changes already. The active community is going to keep GW on their toes. Some reduced core rules complexity. The game still has a rich rule set. Complex for some certainly, but it has been changed to improve it. The psychic phase has been removed and the fight phase has been made simpler, for example. Massively reduced faction-specific rules and complexity. Possibly a detriment to the game in some people's eyes, but it is very easy to understand what a faction does, and there's not much to remember when playing. Play from date sheets, but units still have special rules. This is very much like one-page rules and is convenient and easy to use. The complexity of interaction is there for those players who want to explore it. No defined army composition and free army list tools. This is now the same for both systems. While the game is still turn-based, the amount of interaction has increased, and it is more engaging for the player whose turn it isn't. Both have objectives and can be played simply. Both have expansions to have more complex missions. 40k has generally evolved over time as well, and in particular I'm thinking about the attitude to 3D printing models. It is still the case Games Workshop restricts the use of 3D printed models, and in their own tournaments it is likely to be more stringent following this. However, considering how commonplace and high quality printing is, it's so common for people to use replicas, and sometimes armies are built exclusively from 3D printed models. You can't always tell the difference between official stuff. It's also really well accepted now, not seen as a cheat for those players who paid for models, at least not in the same way as it used to be. Of course there are people who are still frown upon it. It is just a very acceptable part of the hobby now. So the model cost and exclusivity doesn't have to be a blocker paying 40k anymore. So how about the elephant in the room? At the moment for 40k, all the rules and updates are free, and also the list builder is also free. However, that won't last. The Army Builder app says it's free for a short period only, and then it'll probably be behind a Warhammer Plus subscription. Battlescribe's in trouble and is unsure when it'll be able to handle 10th edition. There are other alternatives like New Recruit available. I'll do a video reviewing some of these actually very soon. The core rules and updates will remain free, but we know that codices are en route, and these will have to be bought. If we follow the previous pattern of indexes in 8th, when a codex is released, the datasheets will be replaced too. So you'd have to go back to using free resources like Wikipedia to get datasheets. Complexity and power creep. GW doesn't have a great record of maintaining a simple design and balanced power while releasing their codices. This is really an obvious worry for the length of 10th edition. Current balance. 10th edition just isn't balanced at the moment. OPR has reached a nice level where points are tweaked to keep things balanced. There aren't as many moving parts and interactions in GRIMDARK Futures, so it's a little easier to balance. A year ago when I played GRIMDARK Tyranids versus Space Marines, the Alien Hive faction was at version 2.5, and it still is today, so core datasheets are pretty stable. 10th has reduced complexity but not started well. It's in the rule interactions where things are difficult to balance, and it seems like some factions are just written differently to others, creating an imbalance. So has 10th edition killed one-page rules, or particularly GRIMDARK Futures? It's given it a go, but to be honest, no, not yet. If 10th edition had been more balanced, I would say I couldn't have seen a reason why you would play GRIMDARK Futures over 40k. Also, by the time 10th has got some balance, we'll start seeing the codices being released, and that means the rules won't be free. And without it being free rules, GRIMDARK Futures will always have a place. Good try, GW, although keep your rules free and you'll see that your player base expands even more. I'd love to hear from OPR and 40k players alike, let me know what you think. Why not consider becoming a member and join me in Discord for even more chat? And I'll see you again soon. Bye.